And let's get more now on Governor Palin's interview. Dee Dee Myers served as President Clinton's first press secretary. Hey, good morning, Dee Dee.
Good morning, Meredith.
You know, this part of the interview focused on foreign affairs, foreign policy. Do you feel that Governor Palin, in her responses, put to rest any concern that is out there in terms of her understanding of the issues?
Well, no, I certainly don't think she put to rest those kinds of questions, particularly, as Matt discussed with Speaker Gingrich, her seeming failure to understand what the Bush Doctrine is. First, she didn't seem to know what it was, and then she didn't really seem to know what it was, even when Charlie Gibson sort of explained it to her. So I think there's going to be a lot more questions about that and other issues that that interview didn't have time to get to. She didn't seem to have a lot of depth on those questions. Now, I think Sarah Palin will continue to be a very polarizing figure in the sense that people who are inclined to like her, Republican base, is going to think her interview was just fine, and Democrats are going to have a tremendous number of questions about her fitness to serve as a leader on foreign policy questions. And I think the question will continue to be, how do people in the middle see it?
Well, there's no doubt that there has been what's been called the Palin effect. I mean, since she got onto this ticket now, the race is a dead heat. What kind of an impact do you think ultimately she will have on the general election?
If I knew the answer to that, I would be very sought after indeed. We don't know the answer to that yet, but I think it's interesting that until she was added to the ticket, you know, Senator McCain's campaign seemed kind of out of gas, out of energy, and all of a sudden she comes along, he's drawing big crowds. The one thing I know for sure is that John McCain really can't have a big rally until Sarah Palin comes back from Alaska. She's providing all the energy for this ticket. And what does that say about John McCain's agenda? You know, what does that say about his economic plan and people's, you know, interest in or confidence in him to solve their problems, to deal with losing jobs and the mortgage crisis and the losing value of their homes and their questions about health care and education and energy? His agenda alone just doesn't have the oomph. He needs her to kind of prop him up, and I think that really raises some very fundamental, interesting questions about what's wrong with John McCain's agenda and why aren't people responding to it.
But Dee Dee, what does it say then about Barack Obama that white women under 50 seem to be heading over to the McCain camp?
Well, he's no question John McCain got a bump from putting Sarah Palin on the ticket. Look, she's a very attractive candidate, particularly at first glance, and I think people are stopping, taking a step back, and looking at both of these candidates. But ultimately, it's going to be about John McCain and his judgment and his agenda, and Barack Obama and his judgment and his agenda. I don't think people are going to vote for John McCain because they like Sarah Palin and think she's an interesting figure. They're ultimately going to decide which one of these two leaders is going to do the most to create jobs, you know, help restore the economy, create more health care for the people who need it, get this country moving again. And John McCain's agenda couldn't get people excited until he put Sarah Palin on the ticket. Her presence has nothing to do with what he would do for the country. And once we get back to that debate between Senator McCain and Senator Obama, I think we're going to see those poll numbers change quite a bit.
Okay.
And I think the country is going to get back to that, by the way.
All right, Dee Dee Myers, thank you very much for your perspective this morning.
Thank you.
And you can learn much more about Governor Palin on a special documentary, Decision 2008, The Candidate, Sarah Palin, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC.